What's been your experience like coming back to campus? What was like the thought process as the day got closer? Now that you're here, what is that like for you?
Like to start kind of being home in the summer, transitioning like to online classes. It was a new experience for like all of us, especially for like me. Um, Not really my most traditional like learning style. College student, you're used to being around your college friends 24/7. It creates like a family, like a home away from home, and like I kind of really started to miss that.
A little
So
social.
yeah,
A little social,
here and
just a
there.
little.
So like, not being around like my friends, be able to see them and like having to like adapt to just Zoom calling everybody all the time. Like me and Andrew would talk on the phone
Yep.
or we Zoom call 24/7. Like it was different. Hearing the news, like first like when COVID was happening, everybody was talking about quarantining. Everybody was like, oh, it'll be over like in like June. And then the summer hit and I just started crossing my fingers and praying like, we'd be back for the fall. And when we got the news, I was ecstatic to say like the least.
Yeah, for me, I'd sort of gotten into the swing of working with Zoom 24/7 through an experience I had done over the summer. So I had like the idea of working in a professional setting all the time. And getting into the first couple of weeks of classes, it was a little bit of an adjustment. And thus far, had my first few days of in-person classes, and it's been all right. It's been good. Definitely better than always being on the Zoom. Have a nice change of scenery, of setting. So yeah, no, I'm good with the way things are going.
See, for me, I went through like a mix of emotions from the both of you.
Yeah.
I was working this summer, and then I also had to come back earlier because I'm an orientation leader. So I was like, I gotta go back. So, and it was honestly, I had an amazing time. I love being at OL because I just feel like my whole just job is just for the first years, like just making their experience. Like I'm the first kind of upperclassman they see on campus, and I'm like, lights, camera, action, let's go. Like you got to get in the zone. So once like orientation, the session passed, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm ready for classes.
How was that? Like, how was that? Because like you talk about being the first person they meet, and like it's not in the most like fortunate like situation,
Right.
with like COVID and everything. So how was that? Kind of still creating that experience for them, even though with like the current situation. Like, how did you try to like work alongside that?
I was more sympathetic to this incoming class. I realized that they had lost so much compared to my experience and all of us sitting here. Like we had a prom. I went away after graduation with my senior class and they didn't have that experience. So I'm like, okay, I have to be able to look at them eye to eye and say, you know what, I know what you lost, but you're here for a reason. Like you've been allowed to come to the next step. Like a lot of people haven't been fortunate enough to go to college, even in the pandemic, to pay for college. A lot of people had that setback financially this summer and over these past months, and we've seen that. So all of the incoming students who are continuing college and even doing that next step, like I know a lot of them think about what they lost, but it's like you got more, like you're just gonna get 10 times more blessed. And a lot of people may not even realize that.
Did any of you have any fear about coming back? I mean, you almost implied that. I mean, Esau?
As a student, I think my biggest concern coming back was making sure we stayed back, because like you don't want to like move in, you don't want to go through this whole process of coming back and doing everything and like setting up your room and getting like used to classes again, kind of getting in the flow of things, spending all this money, and then like someone who doesn't want to listen or like ruins things for everybody like sends me back home and it was out of my control.
Yeah, I was nervous myself since earlier on in the pandemic. I had an uncle that unfortunately passed, but seeing the development of social distancing guidelines, ways that we're going about practicing health on campus, definitely reassured and brought down some of the nerves.
I was more worried about other people. It's not about me because I know how clean I am. I know what I do. And I take the right precautions. I'm not out here without a mask hanging out. I see people are still traveling. People are still doing parties. People are still doing stuff like the world hasn't had a drastic change in these past months. And I'm like, hello, you have to go back to your family.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people just haven't had to care for it the way that I would like.
President Olian, I'm gonna throw those questions back to you. Like what were some of your concerns with, coming back to campus, and did you have any fear about reopening?
Well, yes and yes. I think that when we think about March, so much was stunningly unknown. You couldn't grasp the magnitude of what would be. And I think, like Esau said, you figured, okay, we've had some really bad things like Ebola, we had the avian flu and other things, but they were so confined and limited in time. And you thought that this was going to be a discrete time period and that you would get through it. But then the realization set in, and amazingly, we've had here at Quinnipiac this COVID-19 task force that has met every day since the middle of February, that has been planning. So once the realization set in, what you do is you become pragmatic and you say, let's try to keep the main thing, and let's do everything we can do to build the precautions around being able to protect our mission, which is education and students and learning and teaching. And I have to say there were moments somewhere in June where even though we were planning and taking all these precautions, where I felt, geez, I mean, to be able to do this on such a big scale might not be possible. And there were quite a few universities and other institutions that were choosing not to do it. But I've gotten so much confidence from the breadth of participation of everyone in the planning and every which precaution that we've taken, that I feel that we have a real shot. Do I think that there are any guarantees? No. I mean, you know, the virus doesn't listen to memos and doesn't listen to precautions. I mean, we can do a lot, like you were saying, Dina. I mean, we can each control our own behavior, and that will go a hell of a long way. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I really believe that if we can do this, it's the best thing for our students, for our community, to get used to this new normal that is not going to be forever. It's going to be temporary, longer than any of us imagined. But I think we can get through it. No single person has taken it all on themselves to have all of these arms that are holding this together. So I get a lot of confidence from that shared leadership model.